Hey everybody, we are going to be getting into Indigenous governance and economic authority. So, economics cannot exist without governance. If you think of any form of business, whether if that's your sole proprietorship or your corporation, you have a structure of governance that runs your business. So, before contact, we held the responsibility to live in our community and follow the traditional laws and teachings that balanced responsibilities to ensure the well being of individuals and groups as a whole. Colonial systems imposed new government structures that shifted authority away from the community and towards the federal government through the Indian agent. So, our authority within the economy was taken from us, and instead, we had to report every little thing to an Indian agent. And if you don't know what an Indian agent is, he was majorly a he, and his job was to come to Indigenous communities and report the number of folks within a household, the number of children within a household, and that way they can extract those children and put them into residential schools or day schools. And so this Indian agent was very much in charge of reporting to the Crown or to the Canadian government what the numbers were and how we can control them. Well, they didn't make those decisions, but their higher ups did. Okay. So when treaty agreements were made, they were made with the consideration of 7 generations ahead. That we will hold economic rights, access to resources, land, and shared prosperity. But these agreements were often interpreted through colonial frameworks and violated the terms that were set in place. For example, I remember, and this has happened way too many times for there not to be a link to this, but when we have our premier of our province making deals with other businesses, let's say, for example, like in the oil field, or let's say, for example, they wanted to make a data center somewhere outside of Sturgeon Lake, I believe. And this data center was not being worked on with the agreement of the Indigenous folks from that area. Because when we take responsibility of the land, we need to consider the water sources that these infrastructures are going to impact, which will then impact the ecosystem and the wildlife within that area, which can move way further down the line into other ecosystems that are connected to that water source, right? So again, more or less drinkable water, right? Not just for us, but for the animals. So today, the key economic question is, who benefits from Indigenous wealth? And who holds the authority to decide? Reconnecting economics to governance is how we move towards self-determination. In my next video, we will be talking about modern Indigenous economies. So I will see you guys there.